Well, I'm sitting here with Joe Pulizzi, and Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Joe Pulizzi. I am the founder of the Content Marketing Institute. We do lots of things there, including Chief Content Officer Magazine, Content Marketing World, the event. I've been in the content marketing industry for a long, long time, and written a couple books. One is Get Content, Get Customers, and the other one, most recently co-authored with Robert Rose, called Managing Content Marketing.
Recently, I saw a copy of your magazine called Chief Content Officer. Tell me a little bit about that, and do you have a copy of that
Sure.
with you?
Yeah. So here's a copy of Chief Content Officer Magazine. It's a quarterly publication, and really what we try to do is uncover really the industry that is content marketing, and we're trying to put a wrapper around what this discipline is. I mean, even though content marketing has been around for hundreds of years, it's new to most companies, and we're seeing all kinds of new titles pop up. So I told somebody this the other day with content. They said, "Where are we at in content marketing industry? Like, give me a timetable." And I said, "Well, if this was a 9-inning baseball game, we're just getting out of the dugout." So we've got a long, long way to go, and there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of people in marketing and journalism.
In terms of the discipline of content marketing, what are some of the skill sets that professionals need to have to be proficient at content marketing?
Well, I think you really need to first have a nose for the story. I mean, some people, and you and I have worked with a lot of different marketing people. Some marketing people just aren't very good at telling stories.
Right.
We're really good at feature benefit stuff, but we're not so good at what are the pain points of my customers, my prospects and my customers. Where are they at in the buying process itself, and then what kind of stories do I need to tell them to move their behavior in some way, whether they're coming in for the first time or they've been loyal customers of ours for years and years. So all different types of pieces of content. So the person that's going to, let's say it's the Chief Content Officer, which by the way can just be a role. It doesn't have to be a title, although there is, like Netflix has the Chief Content Officer. It's the role of the chief storyteller, who is managing that process in an organization. And because you're seeing the transition of brands becoming more publishers, we're starting to look, the marketing department is actually starting to look more and more like a publishing department.
And when you think of a lot of new college graduates entering the workforce, what is your advice to them to break into this industry?
So I have, first of all, with journalism students, I have the opportunity to speak in front of journalism students quite a lot, and I love doing it because when I put it out in front of them, I say, "I'm so excited for you because you are, there's never been a better time to be a journalism major." And they're like, "Are you kidding me?" Like they look at me like I got two heads, because they hear the news, they know that media companies aren't doing, for the most part, traditional media companies aren't doing as well as they've done in the past. A lot of layoffs. I used to work at a traditional media company. They're now probably a third of the size that they were when I left in the mid-2000s. So the difference is, I think, if you're a journalism or marketing major and you're looking to get in this industry, the first thing is you've got to realize is that those journalism jobs, you're not going to be the chief editor of the Wall Street Journal anymore. You're going to be the chief content officer or chief content evangelist for Cisco Systems. So start recognizing those positions. That's going to be your peer group. Start reaching out to them. If we're talking about networking, those are the people you want to network with, because you have a lot of different people from PR, from corporate comm, from marketing and journalism, all going into these new content marketing positions. Whether that's a chief content officer, whether that's a managing editor in a company, whether it's director or vice president of content marketing manager, all types of content roles. And in and around traditional, but also social media, of course, because, right. I mean, social media is a flashlight, content's the batteries. It's going to make it go, right? You need to have something to put in those tools that your company is interesting. So just very, very exciting time frame, but I would say start to look at the peer group and see what's going on, especially in your industries that you're interested in getting a job in.
So, and let's break this down a little bit deeper in the types of roles, because not everyone's an AP style writer, they're not classically trained. What are the type of sub-disciplines even within content?
So if a company came to me and said, "Okay, Joe, we want to set up a content marketing organization. What are these skills? What are the roles that we need?" Yeah. So let's just simply put, of course, it gets more complicated, but simply put, the chief content officer is the top. That's the chief storyteller. They are driving the strategy, and they have final say on the execution. And then if you come down, the most important, probably the most important role I think in all of marketing is the managing editor. That's the one that's going to manage the calendar, figure out what stories we're telling, multiple channel. I mean, when we say storytelling, a lot of people think, we're talking about articles and the written word. And in a lot of cases we are. We're also talking about audio, we're talking about video, we're talking about leveraging different kind of social media tools within storytelling. Some stories need to be told differently on Facebook than on SlideShare, than on your blog, than on whatever, right? All different types of things. In print, which is still going on today, of course, with the magazine. So you have that managing editor role. They get the job done. That's like the chief execution person. Then you have the content producer. That's the one that makes it pretty, because you still have designers out there in web and print that need to make things go, because if they're not pretty, they're not going to be used. If they're not engaging, they're not going to. I would say that what's the purpose of a cover of a magazine? To get opened.
Yeah.
So think about it from that perspective. Same thing for a blog post, like a title. And so you have the content producers, and then you have what's you might call a chief listening officer. Kodak actually has somebody called the chief listening officer, but the chief listening officer, you need to make sure that you're prepared for when that content, there's reactions to that content. You start getting conversation, that person needs to be listening. Where do we need to be telling those stories? That's that person's responsibility. And then around it all, you have content creators. That could be you, me, it could be all those people we just talked about, it could be none of them, it could be your customers, it could be your all your employees, it could be all those people, and all doing different parts of that process. So those are the main roles, and so if you're like trying to break in, you might be breaking in as a content creator, like you're just an employee and you're going to do some content writing yourself, move up to a managing editor role, then move up to the chief content officer role. Okay.
And then last question for you. You mentioned at the start that you recently wrote a book called Managing Content Marketing. Tell me a little about that.
Yeah, so here's the book, Managing Content Marketing with Robert Rose. So there's two books. One is Get Content, Get Customers. That's the first one we wrote, and that's for the why. So if you are watching this and you have somebody in your organization that doesn't get anything of what we're talking about, give them that book. That's like the beginner book. It'll tell them exactly why they need to start thinking seriously about it and how we need to transform the marketing department itself into more of a publishing department. This tells you how to do it. So it'll go through all the stuff we just talked about, how we need to set up a department, how we need to measure it, how we need to make the business case for doing it in an organization, all the different types of analytics that we can insert into it, so that'll help you at that. So if you really want a good execution book on content marketing, this is it.
Well, Joe, thank you for your time, and good luck with the new book. Thank you.
Thank you.